it. Should I say
You.
that or should
Okay,
it be
you,
you? Me?
you,
And
you
we're
do that.
live. We're
Okay,
live,
yeah.
motherfuckers.
Okay, you will be the host. I mean, the host, and
The
I
MC.
the MC. Okay,
I'm
yeah,
not really
yeah, yeah.
a host. I'm not considerate enough to be a host.
Okay, yeah. Sounds good.
You're the considerate one. Actually, technically, I think you should do all the introductions,
Okay, so
particularly if we have guests.
yeah, we will have guests soon enough. So thanks for watching us. Good morning, good afternoon, or GM, wherever you are. Welcome to the show. We do we need to have a name for the show? I don't know.
I don't think so. I
Yeah,
think we're barely just getting by on production at the moment. So let's
yeah.
just
We can
let's
think
just
about it later.
let's just roll
So
with what we've got.
yeah, so this is basically a moment for us to share what we've been researching, what we've been doing with you guys, and talk about prediction markets. So right now we still don't have. Maybe if you are watching us on YouTube, you can leave comments there, or you can just send us DM on Twitter or tweet and tag Groovy Market. And if you still don't follow us, I don't know why. Follow us, please. Yes. So basically, what we are going to do these days, why we do this, it should be a 30-40 minute chat, really kind of casual stuff, just to keep in touch with the audience, to keep in touch with the people who are interested about prediction markets. And we are going to try to share with you a little bit of what we've been learning and what we've been exploring. Right, Nick? So I'm Diego. This is Nick. We are the co-founders of Groovy Markets, the first user-generated prediction market we are building on Say, and we are going to introduce some new features. I'm not allowed to tell as much right now, otherwise Nick will kill me. But we are solving one of the top problems with prediction markets, which is the initial liquidity. And basically, what Groove proposes is to scale what Polymarket did. So Polymarket proved that there is demand for prediction markets, and we are going to talk about this today. In platforms like Pump.fun, they showed what happens when you give power to users. So when you give users, how can I say this? When you give them the ownership of what they're playing with, so basically, we think a better way to deal with prediction markets is to put Pump.fun together with Polymarket, and this is what we are doing with Groovy. And on top of that, we are going to try and solve the initial liquidity problem that's a pain
There's
for
no
prediction
trying. There's only
markets.
doing.
Yeah, I mean,
Only doing. Even
I,
trying's doing.
I'm trying to be humble here.
Enough of that. We're in Web3. There's no humble. There's just fucking bill post after bill post after bill post.
So
Although the last couple of days has been crazy because we went what from 123 down to 13. What we at today? I didn't even check.
yeah,
And
112,
people
I
are
think.
crying like we just didn't like smash every target every Bitcoiner ever wished to smash ever. So
113. Oh
stop
yeah,
crying. Stop
yeah.
it. I'm sorry
Remember?
if you bought 115, right? Just hold your bags and keep going like the rest of us. Make your bones.
See, that's it. That's it. That's it. I mean, you're just the okay. I'm so sad. We are so down.
I bought the day of a market crash. Like
Yeah,
the day
yeah.
of it. Like 4 hours later, it went, fuck you. I had to hold it
That's
for 4 years.
that's the thing. So basically, okay, if you're looking back to the last month, okay, it looks down. But dude,
Oh, terrible. Just so terrible.
anything else, it's just so up.
Just zoom out. What happened to zoom out
Yeah,
in this cycle? Last cycle,
I don't
everybody was
know.
like, zoom
I
out. It's
don't
fine.
know.
We're good. I
Yeah,
think it's Ethereum, to be honest. I think everybody's just sad about
maybe
Ethereum. That took
because
a long time.
that's the thing. So people waited like 3 years to see Ethereum going back to the highs, right? So
I think
remember,
it was because it was
I
so
was here.
hard getting to that 4K. It was hard. Like it was brutal. I was watching it and I was just like, I'm
Yes, it
selling
was.
Ethereum. I'm not
I
keeping this anymore.
so that's the thing. So I remember these. Yes, I remember this period here. It was around Ethereum Denver last year, and everybody, I mean, a lot of friends didn't sell because they were aiming for the 4K, and Ethereum did the same. Yes, that's true. It came
Oh,
from 390 to here, dude. 50% losses.
yeah. There
Oh,
was a
even
time
more,
around
even
about
more.
then. It was like, when was that? See, January, was it January that year? No, it
No,
wasn't.
it was in around March. The top
Like,
was
where's
around
like,
March last year.
yeah, but so it was like, I think it was somewhere like January of that year.
Yeah.
Kobe put out a tweet. It was like, yeah, like great, like a very basic strategy would just be to buy ETH and hold it to 10K by the end of the year. And
Yeah,
everything just
yeah.
like fucking
Dude.
stalled about November, and then Terra happened, and then it went.
hmm Dude, I
Oops.
remember. I remember. I was here. I mean, I couldn't sell because all my ETH was staked, and back in the day there was no Lido or Rocket Pool or EtherFi or anything like that. I started to do the staking in the contract with the Beacon chain back in the day. And so for me here, I couldn't sell ETH back then. But I remember everybody talking about ETH at 10K and Bitcoin at 500,000. Dude, that didn't happen. I mean, I think that will happen, but I mean, you don't
Yeah,
buy
no, it
this
will
stuff
happen.
with a time frame. I mean, oh, I'm buying this because I want to buy a house next year. It's not like this. It doesn't work
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no. It used to be kind of. I think a lot of that's out of the game. Like even I arrived too late, I think, to really get all those pumps, because you also need to spend a bit of a cycle sometimes
that. Yeah,
learning what the hell's going on, and then
yeah. And
that's it.
talking
But one
about,
thing I'm bullish on:
mm,
when the market crashes entirely, prediction markets will still be good.
yeah,
Because you
that
don't need to rely on the price of crypto to run a prediction market, right? Anything in the world, like I'm presuming that next year is going to be even more chaotic in the
that's
world than this year. So there should
I
be
think so.
loads of reasons to create prediction markets.
The world is not slowing down for sure.
No,
That
no, no.
that's the
We're
thing.
no. It's
Yeah,
speeding up.
and that's the hook that I was waiting for. Thanks for that, Nick. To share with you a question, and
I'm stunned.
this is where I want to start the discussion today. So basically, Andy, the famous pudgy penguin, he was just saying, okay, prediction markets against media, this is the new wave. And Dana Euro was saying, okay, prediction markets will replace the media in the future. Okay, I don't think this is where I start to disagree with him. I don't think prediction markets will replace, and I strongly disagree with this second statement. He says media's job is basically to interpret reality and tell you what might happen. I don't think he's
I
correct
don't think
here.
that's media's job. That's what
That's
media has
not.
become. But if it's
Yes.
there to out, if you look at like the BBC worldwide, like way back in the day, their job was. I mean, they didn't always do this right, because media has always been manipulated in one direction or another. The job is to give you the facts fully and entirely, and you to interpret the facts and make your own decisions. But we've come into this world in our lifetime. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think our parents necessarily grew up in these a generation where they're telling you what to think, and not and
Yes.
giving you facts which are because I've like done a lot of data and deal with stats a lot, right? So you can color stats in any direction you really want.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And a lot of media has just kind of did that, particularly like in the US. I think the UK, there's some laws and stuff like around it, but like in the US, there's very much like partisan, and
Yeah,
it's
but
very
no.
divided. And they'll take the same bit of information and skew it whatever direction. There's a
Mm-hmm.
great website called Ground News. If anybody's not seen it, like go check it out. And they use AI to do sentiment analysis and like left wing, right wing, center. And they show you what news articles are saying what, and they summarize based on left wing, right wing, and center. So you can
Mm-hmm.
see the different angles that the
Mm-hmm.
different partisans are taking. So it's really, really, really cool. We should
Yeah,
talk
that,
to
that
them about prediction markets. They would
yeah,
be quite interesting.
yeah. So taking a step back when you said about you can kind of manipulate the data, that's of course that's true. I mean, imagine if you have the whole table full of data, you can specifically focus on part of that looks better instead of
Yeah,
the whole thing. And also the language that you use, it says a lot about what you think about it. But I mean, the
exactly.
most the most important thing about this is I think it's timing. When it comes to the news and to prediction markets, the news is always talking about what happened. The news does not talk about the future. I mean, what I'm talking about right now, even though
Yeah.
it's just happened, it's already past. It happened. So media report what happened, and prediction markets are trying to interpret that and talk about, okay, what is the forecast considering that?
So let me share my screen briefly, just
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
to share this one. So I saw this on Polymarkets today. Um, Now, so it says Morgan Stanley says the Fed won't cut rates this year. Polymarket says there's a 90% chance. Who do you believe, right? And it's less. It's.
Mm-hmm.
I find this interesting because Morgan Stanley's saying that right now, but that's based on Powell staying in his position. But Powell's most likely to get ejected or is going to leave because Trump keeps pushing him to lower rates. So
Mm-hmm.
right
Mm-hmm.
now, Morgan Stanley's acting like a pundit. They have no downside to stating that publicly. If anything, they're using it to shift people's thinking and betting
Mm-hmm.
on the markets in other directions. People in
Mm-hmm.
Polymarket are like, well, this doesn't seem reasonable because they're probably thinking Powell will be out next month,
Mm-hmm.
or he'll might be out in at least the next 2 months before the end of the year, and there's probably going to be a rate cut because there's already a guy. I wouldn't be able to find a tweet right now, but there's a guy who's basically cherry picked for that position, and he is super bullish on Trump ideology around what should
Mm-hmm.
happen with those rates. So I think that's quite. This is it's like it's not telling like pundit Morgan
Yes.
Stanley acting like a pundit bullshit and then feeding it through the media is
Mm-hmm.
just manipulating things in maybe directions because maybe they've got bets somewhere in the market,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Or
As you
maybe I'm
mentioned,
full of shit, but
there's
like
yes,
it would make sense. It is in their benefit to say something if their positions are loaded in that direction. But because
exactly.
it's not on chain, we can't see.
Yes. So imagine, I always remember this example. When you go to the bank, your manager, the guy who manages your account, he always tries to offer you some fund.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it doesn't mean that it's a bad investment because you are going to make some money. But funds, they only exist to pay taxes for the managers of the fund. So they will make even more money than you, or at
This
least they will
sounds
do.
cynical.
That's it. So there's no actually a downside for you when you think, okay, are going to make money, but there's an upside for them. And this is the case when you go to traditional media and or these experts. There's might not be a downside for you, but you don't know exactly what is the upside for them. And that's the thing. When you bring all this information to prediction markets, what you are doing is you're opening up to everybody. So people who have interest in the outcome and people who have like an inside information and like
Mhm.
the general people that think about stuff in a reasonable way, and just like I said, okay, it doesn't seem reasonable, this outcome.
Yeah, and also it kind of it allows like you were saying, like a varied amount, a varied type of person to bet because the bets are so minimal, right? Like it's like under $1, like
Mm-hmm.
pretty much anybody in the world, like not everywhere, right? But like $1 isn't a lot of money in a lot of places.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you can't bet $1, you can still bet a couple of cents, right? So you can bring in if you can scale it, like we were talking about, right? You can
Mm-hmm.
scale it in that way, then you get lots of different people, like much deeper, more technically reliable markets. I don't want to say fully reliable markets because every market can be manipulated in one way or
Mm-hmm.
another. Like you were saying, if there's somebody sitting in there, like a whale sitting in there with some sort of inside information, or as we were chatting about yesterday, like they've constructed a huge data set that allows them to pinpoint accuracy and they just flood the market with their direction, then that's manipulating the odds in the
Mm-hmm.
market, but it's because they believe it's going to go in that direction. So in the end, if we're trying to, media has lost a lot of trust and on their accuracy front, right? We don't really believe what they say. We don't think they're accurate in their opinions. But if somebody has money in the game, they become you believe
Yeah.
that accurately, unless they're crazy or like there's some sort of weird thing going on in the background that none of us plebs really understand. Then we're hoping that if it goes in a certain direction, then it's accurate.
Mm-hmm. 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 That's the thing. There's always someone with money in line when it comes to information. The thing is, prediction markets make that transparent. So why? there's a whale in France betting millions of dollars in the outcome of the US election. That's the
Hmm.
thing. I mean, there's always someone interested on the outcome of any situation, any given market. The thing with prediction markets is that it's clear to us, even though you cannot identify exactly who's the player, you can identify, okay, there is something going on. There's an extra layer of complexity on
Hmm.
whatever is the facts that we are discussing, which we cannot actually see in traditional media. And there's always, as you just showed the Morgan Stanley situation, I mean, there's always bias. And even people who are predicting, who are forecasting in prediction markets, some of them are not going to be rational. Some of them will not going. I mean, we assume that prediction markets are the perfect kind of market, but they are not. I mean, we
Yeah.
are human players. So
It,
some people will make their forecast according to their beliefs, but most of them will not because they have skin in the game. They have something to lose.
it's like I said, it's about accuracy and efficiency, right? You want them to
Yes.
be fairly, like, very efficient markets, and you want the outcome if you're going to use it for media. And this is the thing, like, they can be efficient and not accurate, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah, they
if they're
can.
efficient and accurate, then it becomes very useful as a market for making money, but also very useful for understanding the direction of, for example, sports or geopolitical, literally anything. Which is why we want to kind of open up everything to creators to create their own markets, because I'm like super interested. Okay, Polymarket has done sports, they've done politics, they've done all the big ones that keep making money. But I'm like really interested in the weird niche stuff, like Star
Yes,
Wars
me
fans
too.
get in there and start like betting on what Disney's going to do next or whatever. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
me
interested
too.
in that. That's fun.
And this is so to comment on that front. So most of people think that they might think that only whales are playing on poly market, but that's not the case at all. We got the data. We have all the data. Most people who are playing in poly market or Kalshi or wherever, they are
Mhm.
playing with pennies, with a few dollars. But the thing is, just like in crypto, we only hear about the whales, about the big movers, but that
Yeah,
does not represent the truth about who is actually playing.
yeah,
And this and on the other aspect, Polymarket and Cauchy and Limitless. So they have different markets, but they are really limited to politics, sports, crypto. What we
yeah,
are trying to do and what we are building here with Groovy Market is something that can be really granular, really specific about any kinds of information that you might be interested of. And you can be the creator of that market. That's the thing, that's the beauty of creating a platform that anyone can own the platform. So about the asymmetry in markets, this is really interesting. So based on this tweet here by Neirov, yes. So Ivan, this is interesting. This guy was interviewed by Polymarket as well because he has become kind of a big speculator there. So
mhm,
basically, he's discussing if prediction markets can replace the media, and I agree with him in this space. I mean, this okay, it is not the same. That's what we just said here. It's not that prediction markets are going to replace media because we are talking about two different. When it comes to timing, it's two different things. Media should report what just happened and should try to be unbiased. And what prediction market is doing basically is getting that information that is shared by media or some internal information that you might have, and you try to predict the outcomes based on that. So I think they are, each one complements the other. And so
yeah,
one of the things that he highlights here is how prediction markets can quantify information value. And he has a great example here. So take the ceasefire markets as an example. If you just read news, you would think the ceasefire in Ukraine is close. But even taking the current market price, because he thinks it's wrong, prediction market tells that it isn't. So basically, what he's saying here is the news. tend to make us believe that the ceasefire is close. But if you go to Polymarket here,
Mhm.
predictors are thinking that there's only 24% chance of a
Yeah,
ceasefire. So in this case, and this is not an advice for trade or anything like that. Anything that we talk here, guys, is not a speculation or anything like that. It's just information and education. So it should be I mean, if there's an asymmetry here, that should be an opportunity for trading, according to him. And imagine if you can scale that for any kind of information. But this reflects how prediction markets and news, they are not talking about the same thing.
yeah, yeah. I agree. Yeah, because it always comes back to skin in the game, right? Like,
Yeah.
why the fucking hell would you bet if you're trying to make money, right? You've got a fund or you've got a wallet, and you're sitting there and you're like, I have to make money today. Why would you listen to the news only and not do your research or not look at like because the news are talking about right now. Like if you look at previous stuff, like Putin doesn't like he, he's not an easy character to box with, right? Like he just doesn't say, "Yeah, I'm going to do this," and then like he's got many things. The guy's ex KGB. He doesn't think in straight lines. He's a fucking he's like in 10 places at once. He's a fucking cobra, right? And everybody in government knows this, right? Like I said, like there's two big political guys, political pundits in this country. They're old and getting retired. Andrew Marr and Jon Snow, and I saw them interview each other once, and they were one was asking a question, they'd both answer it, and then vice versa, right? And one
Mm-hmm.
of them, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Marr asked Snow, who is like the most intelligent, like leader of a country you've ever met, like, and they were both of them said Putin. And this was in when Obama was in power and stuff like that. This is like both of them were just like Putin. So like everybody else in Polymarket seems to know that, right? Like he is not going to box. He's going to box very clever around these
Mm-hmm.
guys.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever they're saying or whatever Trump's saying, particularly, I think maybe it's more of an indicator that Trump's saying peace deal coming, but nobody believes Trump in anything he says necessarily.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's playing out in a monetary way rather than in the news. It's saying one thing, and every month of reading the news and believing it thinks maybe something's coming. But where
Yeah.
people are trying to make serious money, like everybody's like, "No, this isn't coming anytime soon." And I reckon you'll see that if you zoom out, right? So like when the Ukraine Russia war started, just before it happened, like grain prices fucking rocketed, right? Because Ukraine supplied
Mm-hmm.
tons of grain to the whole world, particularly Europe, right? I think it was
Mm-hmm.
up like 1,000% or something like that. And if you look at other markets, I reckon they've probably still got the asymmetry of Russia and Ukraine are still fighting, and we're not going
Mm-hmm.
to see ease of move of grain moving through. I mean, I'm not a grain expert. There is a really
Mm-hmm.
cool grain spaces. I think like 2:30 on Twitter with PIQ.
No,
If you're
yeah.
into
This
stuff, but like
this is a
that,
good.
you see that pricing in other places, not just
Mm-hmm.
in Polymarket is
Yeah.
more of a. You can look at it from a natural media point of view, where it's very difficult for the general public to go and understand what the fuck's going on in grain
Mm-hmm.
markets and fuel markets and stuff like that.
Yes, no, this is a great example, and it just restates what we've been talking. I mean, it's not that prediction markets is going to take over the news. It's not like that, but
No,
it's going to bring a new layer of information
accuracy.
and accuracy, exactly. So basically, even to play around with prediction markets, you need to understand a little bit of what's going on, and for that you use the news. So the news become like a primary source of information. I
Mm.
mean, if you're not an expert, if you're not an insider, so if you work with trading grains, if you're working with trading oil or whatever it is, you probably have better sources of information, right? Like a lawyer. The
It's
lawyer
more
has,
diverse because guys in the market are able to look at other things in the market and roughly understand what's going on. They're not
yes,
like market participant is more or less experts in their own vertical, but
yes,
they
exactly.
can talk to each other a little bit and understand what's going on.
Exactly. And when we talk about the bias on media, I'm not saying that it's intentionally prone to talk about this or talk about that they want an outcome, but sometimes it's just a lack of knowledge about what they are writing about, because
I know
most
I'd
of
go as
times
far
they
as to
have.
say it's deliberately biased.
Sometimes, yes,
Deliberately
sometimes I'm
biased. I
just,
think we can
yeah,
see that around the news and around Bitcoin. If you look at Bitcoin as a specific thing, right?
yeah,
Oh,
but
Bitcoin's going to crash
I'm
to
just
zero.
saying,
Why? Because they don't like it. Like they're not holding it themselves, sort of thing. And in the UK, there was a really interesting case where um, the head of Bitcoin policy, she's now the head of Bitcoin policy. She's a journalist, and she constantly pulled up the BBC and wrote like they were factually inaccurate about things they were quoting about Bitcoin, like straight
hmm.
up fact. If they just did a proper search, they would have figured this out.
But
And she
my point is,
in,
my point is
and they
the
don't
lack
listen.
of info. Yeah, sometimes that is driven by the lack of information, and there's lack of information in research because, dude, they just need to deliver articles. Okay, you
Yeah,
have
and
1
also
hour to
they
deliver
tend
that,
to.
so you don't have time. You don't have time to research, to go deep on that shit. So you just put your bias out because you
Yeah,
have.
I mean, you and I have both worked in the news
Yes,
in
this is why
general,
I'm
right?
telling you.
Yeah, yeah, and we know how it works, right? It isn't always biased. Sometimes it is deliberately biased, right? And there is
Yes,
historical reports of it deliberately being biased because they want to sway
yes.
more directions, right? If you look 50, 60 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
they've come clean and said, you know, like the New York Times wrote an article about this in order to throw a dummy to the opposition and then
Yeah,
win a
yeah,
war.
yeah, for sure, for
Um,
sure.
but we know, like, on a day-to-day basis, how quick newsrooms work, right? And they're like, we
Mm-hmm.
know it's like, oh, can we get any data around that? It's really hard. Oh, we've reached out to 5 or 6 people, and only 2 have responded, right? So, like,
Yes,
if you've reached out to like a cluster of people and you've tried to find either side of the argument, and only one side of the argument comes back,
yes.
you're only going to be able to
Mm-hmm.
fully represent that side. You can
Yes.
state that this could potentially be it, but you've not got any third parties saying this is right or this is wrong.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then see, even from this perspective, when a news outlet wants to put a story out, they go after the news. They go after they need to source the information. On a prediction market, it's different. You create the market and the information comes to you. You have
Yeah,
the right information or not, you will go there, you will put your voice out. So there's this different way of moving where the information comes from, how it is gathered, and of course it changes the outcome. So there's, okay, so by our conversation here, for me it's clearly news are going to always be the news, like it we or not. Maybe they change, hopefully they change, but
I think
prediction
they'll change.
markets comes to bring, no, they were not going to change. They didn't change the last century. They
Be
don't
honest
need to
and
change.
say they're not going to change. They're going to do
No,
their
they're
own
not
thing.
going to change. Yeah, this is why we need prediction markets. So okay, read the news and then try to get an extra layer of what is going on prediction, because that's the thing. If we make prediction markets open enough and we are able to bring enough people, we will get even more details and even
Yeah,
more granular information about that,
more
and
accuracy.
more accuracy once again. But remember, the news should not talk about the future because no one has a crystal ball. So the news should just report on an unbiased way what happened, and then you
Mhm.
can go to prediction markets, and you can even think about prediction markets as a forum, as an agora where people can discuss their thoughts. And of course, as always, you have more experience and more well-informed people, and hopefully that will be able to bring us a better way of understanding the outcome of facts.
Yes,
and and
agreed.
and, and only one more thing. I don't know how many time we still have, but the difference about what prediction markets can help you forecast is if something is going to happen or when something is going to happen, which is
Yeah,
totally different about the reasons thing will or thing or when things are going to happen.
because really people only care about if it will happen and when is it going to happen.
I
Right, because
think
if, like,
so.
for example, in the crypto markets, if you could predict how high the price or how low the price was going to be and exactly when it was going to be happening,
You don't care
make a
for,
lot of money doing that, right? You can make some good,
yes.
you can
You don't
change
care
your life.
if it's Michael Saylor buying Bitcoin. You only care
Yeah,
that
I don't
prices
care how it
goes well.
happens.
Yeah, most people don't. I mean, unless you want to defend your point of view on a public thread or something like that. So
Yeah,
then, okay, you go further on that. Okay. Anything else that you want to treat today, Nick, or are we good?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. I think we should first. I want to just give this. So we spoke about like the direction of where markets may go. I saw this one from John Wine, and he was basically like, I think everybody should know what this is. This is when he was pitching in the film. But anyway, Tinder swiping for prediction markets. I don't think so necessarily. Right? Let me zoom in on that so you can everybody can see.
Tinder swiping for prediction markets. Okay.
Yeah, I get it from like maybe a degen user experience, right? But I don't think that's going to change the game for prediction markets. It's not going to make it mainstream because in the end, the topics are not mainstream, so people are not going to get into it. Everybody else seems to like it. Maybe I'm dumb. I obviously jumped in. I was like, Pump Fun meets Polymarket, and then TikTok layer coming soon. Thank us later. But that's it. It's like there's two ways to look at. There's two kind of levels of talking about prediction markets and how they're going to change the world. It's like from an accuracy point of view on a topic, and then there's like, well, so how do we make this more for everyday people? And that's playing with the UI, which is obviously something we're working on because we'll have live streaming on our platform and stuff, and comment sections and just kind of like prediction, kind of like Polymarket, but more degen. So I think that was just an interesting. We both came across two different directions of thinking about prediction markets for this call. And then the next thing that I want to share is my wallet for today. So for you guys that didn't tune in yesterday and you're new, so Diego and I are basically like throwing pennies at prediction markets and seeing like how much money we can make and how like what good strategies are. Again, not financial advice, just us mucking around and playing with prediction markets because we think
you look like a Solana maxi right now. You look like retail. You look like retail. I only see Solana and Ripple.
That's it. I'm a Ripple guy. I actually, I don't own any XRP, so I'm just kind of like, I should get some of that action. But like back to kind of like what I was talking about yesterday with the sort of trade strategy. So my market today, I picked entirely. That's not that one. It's I picked it entirely using ChatGPT, right?
Okay.
I threw in the numbers, like price to beat, how many hours are left, a chart with a couple of indicators on it. And I was like, let's go. Let's see what happens. And early on, I was up loads. And when we started this call, I was up. And now I'm down. The thing is I risk like $2. And if it goes to 100, I make 8. And what I meant to do, fucking forgot to, was put on a hedge. But I can't do it now because it's not going to work. It was because I was in this market early, right? So kind of early. Actually, no, it wasn't early in this one. It was quite late, and it was quite balanced. Nobody really was sure where it was going, but it seems that everybody thinks it's going up now, so that's me screwed. But I meant to put a hedge on up because if I'd have sorted out the hedge, the most I'd have lost was $1. It was 50 cents. But now I can't do it. Now it doesn't work. I thought I'd put it on. It might have been because like Polymarket is not perfect. Everybody they still feel like a startup when you use their product, right? Because they've only been around for a few years and they've only really smashing their growth in the past couple of years. But I think I probably tried to put through an order and it failed, and I thought it went through. But I wish I'd put on that hedge because that would have worked because I'd have earned some money and probably not lost any. And and the way I worked it out, if I'd lost any, it'd been 50 cents. But my winnings would have been like $8.
Yeah,
that's a good that's a kind of like good way to balance it out. And I think I'm going to, like yesterday I said I was trading only on hourly, but I don't have a paid trading view account. And I can't be bothered paying for one right now. I'll wait till like the end of the crypto market and they start giving 9% discount codes, and then I'll buy one.
Yeah, they always do that.
Yeah. And near the end of the year, I think they do it as well. But so it means I can't get the minute or the second data to do hourlies properly. Even though I was pretty good on hourlies. Like the profit I've got just now is because of hourlies, right? I decided to go daily with this, and I'm going to just do daily bets. I'm going to do small daily bets to see if it can predict it well. And obviously, the problem with daily is a lot can change.
Yes, throughout the day. Yes.
Yeah, and this is the point of the day where I thought this is either going to work for me or not. And we do our live stream at this time, so I couldn't watch it, and I got fucked. So
Dude,
unless there's a huge dip, I mean, we'll get 2 hours left. But the
yeah.
other day on an hourly, it was like a couple of minutes to go, and it just went dunk. It went opposite direction, and everybody was like, "Whoa, it's winning, smashed it!"
Dude, that something better. I mean, to do this instead of like open a traditional position is that we will not going to be liquidated before the
Yeah,
market closes,
yeah,
because even though we reach the target price or the opposite side, you still have time to recover. On the other hand, in traditional markets, if you got to that target price, you're out already. There's
yeah.
no time frame.
Yeah.
And here we are playing with time frame. And I
And
think something that we could discuss is about how to use prediction markets as a hedge. I mean,
yeah, yeah,
inside
yeah.
prediction markets, I mean, opening like two positions, which is
Well,
basically the same that people can do
that's
in
what I was
traditional
talking about
markets.
doing. I
Yeah,
meant to do this one, but you can use it in hedge. Like, let's say you're in a real world asset, or a real world asset. You're in some other asset outside of like an actual like real asset, gold or something like that. You can set up hedges in poly market.
yes.
They do gold
I
actually.
think one
We
of the
do
example,
gold. We've got gold.
yeah, we've got all the
I
commodities.
like gold. I've not
Yes,
got lots of gold. They're just like I just think gold. There we go.
I
So
don't
like
play
you
with
could do it.
gold,
You
but
can do a hedge there, right?
yeah, yeah, you can.
Like oh, it
I mean,
will. What price is that?
if you're actually buying gold in real life and you want to make a hedge, thinking about the
Okay.
price of gold, I mean, if you buying gold because you're expecting gold is going to be higher, you can buy like 10, 20, 30%, whatever, or against yourself on poly market.
Yeah.
So you can have a hedge. I mean, if gold goes up, okay, you got gold. If gold goes down, okay, you can kind of,
I'll go
you
for
didn't
you,
lose
my
that
friend.
much. Yes, that's it. I mean, but you always, I mean, you cannot kind of open, and this is not financial advice at all, guys. But you cannot open in this situation positions at the same side. You need to decide, okay, what is the most likely outcome of this, and then you go ahead to that. But if you're not
Yeah.
sure, you open a position on the other side as well. That's
Yeah,
basically,
and that's what I meant to do this morning,
yeah.
and looked
But
I think
it's,
because poly market was experiencing problems from
yeah,
yesterday. Actually, like they'd had
but it,
the banner just came down at like 10 o'clock
yeah.
UK time today.
But it's easier to think about assets, but when you think about real life events, I don't know, think about you're buying a stock of a company, but that company might be risked because of some legislation.
I
We are seeing about the robot taxis with Tesla, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
but
there is this thing about the regulation that they might not be able to launch right now because the regulation does not allow. So you
yeah,
can open a position on a prediction market about that, but on the other hand, you can buy or you can short stocks on Tesla at the same time. So if something bad happens, depending on where you think what's going to happen, you can have the both positions and hedge yourself against an asset that you're buying.
I think a good example of what's going on just now with these company treasuries. Like I don't know if you saw this, right? It was like I think it was
Right.
Clemente that
Uh,
that posted it, and it was like a video of the CEO. Oh, I can't remember who it was. If you give me a minute, I'll go and look. Let's see if I can have a look, right? And we can just
Yeah,
play it.
yeah. Go ahead. I thought you would say that Michael Saylor is buying Bitcoin. He's
No,
selling bonds or not bonds, but he's selling not stocks or options to buy stocks or whatever is the
no, he's
tool he's
fully full of shit.
using. Yeah, he's
He's
just
going
printing
to
some
cause us all
papers.
problems. Ah, right, here we go.
Dude,
Perfect.
he
Right,
will be the cause of problems. I mean, as soon as
he's
Polymar,
the next
as,
collapse. He's the next
yes,
collapse. And
yes,
it's going to be horrendous. Like, I've got friends who've been around for ages, like proper Bitcoin OGs, right? Like,
mm-hmm,
around before anything else existed except for Bitcoin. They're all like ex financial, like sitting experts, right? Like, they've all been on
mm-hmm.
trading floors because they're old dudes. And they're just like, this is bullshit. Like, he is going to cause so many problems. And when this
He
crashes,
will.
like, we're going to have a 10-year bear market, right? Potentially a 10
Yes.
or 15. It'll be interesting to see, right? But if that happens and it happens so badly that it stings companies, shareholders, governments, like
Mm-hmm.
the whole all of them get stung, nobody's going to want to look at this for ages. Again, it brings it down to prices where regular people can afford while we wait
Yes.
for the general collapse of the entire financial system. And that was me on a tangent. This is not
No,
news
that no,
or
but
financial
this is the
advice.
this is not news, but yeah,
Now, I don't
let
know. Let me play this, right?
yeah, go
If
ahead.
you're a
You can
believer
hear
in
it, right?
Bitcoin, something really interesting is happening. Bitcoin spot is
Can you
roughly
hear this?
115,000. Our shares of Embry Digital are being offered at effectively $89,000 per BTC. As of this morning, the 19th of August, you can buy into a portfolio holding 4,056 Bitcoin, representing a more than 20% discount to the value of those holdings. Some impatient hedge funds are exiting, driving down the share price, creating an opportunity to effectively buy BTC at a significant discount to spot price. So what are we doing? We are buying back as many shares as we are permitted to under our corporate repurchase program. Let me walk you through it. We own 4,056 BTC, $9.30 of BTC value per share. The stock is trading at roughly $7.25,
Mm-hmm.
or a 24% discount to the Bitcoin portfolio value. Please do your own analysis based on your time of watching this video, but I believe you will come to the same conclusion. We will continue to buy our stock to the extent it remains at a discount to BTC in any meaningful way.
So I find this super interesting. For one, that did look like an AI generated video, and I'm still unsure if it is or isn't, right? But the general idea, this is happening across the board with Bitcoin treasury companies and ETH ones as well. And if you bought that, you could create some sort of hedge on a prediction market against it, provided the prediction market had the market, or you could create the market, right? This is where Polymarket is limited, right? It doesn't allow bleeding edge immediate stuff because they have to provide liquidity into these markets, whereas we're coming from a community driven liquidity pool in that sense. But it's like somebody could have taken out a head, bought their stock, but also taken out a head, like hedged it in a market, in a poly market sort of prediction market style thing, to try protect themselves from this happening, right? So they could be like, okay, because this is the problem with treasuries, right? What happens when the hedge funds buy all their stuff, hammer them, and their stock prices drop below the price of Bitcoin? So it's quite interesting. So
Yeah, yeah, and
I
and
think,
this is something that usually happens on traditional markets as well with stocks. When the price of stocks represents less than the value of the company itself, so it's easier to buy a company than to start a competitor.
yeah. And I
It's
think,
something.
I don't know why. I mean, I get it maybe from a tax point of view, like there might be you might be able to sort your tax out used by a company that holds Bitcoin. But I'm such a maxi where I'm just like, not your keys, not your coins. Like this, you don't own, just because you own their bullshit stock does not mean that you own any Bitcoin at all. I'd rather buy an ETF because they're basically turning into some sort of like ETF on the fucking. It's weird, right? Oh, you're muted. Can't hear you.
Yeah, okay. It's like a fund that holds Bitcoin and manage that for you. Basically, that's it.
Yeah,
And as people say, in my opinion, and I agree with that, it's basically paying a lot of money to someone take care of your money in a worse way than you would do. Doesn't make any fucking sense for me.
no, it
I
doesn't.
don't like ETFs, funds, or whatever. But I mean, if you're
I mean,
watching us, you
I get,
feel like
I'm not gonna.
whatever.
I get why people do it because it's easier. Like because you need to think about like from an institutional point of view, the amount of risk that you need to go through to acquire Bitcoin, and you need to find like a storage partner. You need to like there needs to be so much done before you can acquire it. But I guess that's why we're seeing like over the past few years, a lot of those companies that could do custodian have popped up, and it's making it easier for these companies. Even the company like that guy's there, I can't remember the name of it. But they will have a custodian. They're not just sitting there with like a ledger or something like that in the office in a safe. Like there is there's a lot in the background around that. Um, but anyway,
Imagine the
we're
guy
kind of
has the
drifting off topic.
4 to 5 thousand Bitcoin, and okay, we have a safe here in our office with a ledger on
That's
that. What the fuck,
yeah.
man?
It's like a wee safe box with a regular key, and they're just like, yeah, no, it's safe in there. Don't worry, no, it's fine. Did you tell the insurance company we've got that? Nah, it's all right, mate. Don't worry. Don't worry. We'll end up with like old school sort of bank
Don't
heists, like
worry. Yeah, don't
the
worry.
film. Remember the
Remember
film?
Celsius? Remember Mazinski from Celsius? Banks are not your friends.
Neither's that motherfucker.
Yeah, neither was
Jail
him.
yet? Is he in jail yet? He should be in jail, right? Because he was going away for 30 years, right?
I don't know what happened to the guy. I just know that he was
And
really rich and
Bill Bond, he's
ba-
another one. He's
basically
been
he got
left
a
his
good lawyer and he's kind of okay in jail at home.
yeah.
A lot of places in the
Like
world that
like
happens.
the worst criminals, like your Pablo
Yeah,
Escobars and all that, they get to go to jail at home.
yeah. That's
That,
it. That's it.
that's how you know they're the worst.
So
Just
they
leave them
don't
in his
teach. They
house.
go to jail at home, so they don't cheat. They teach other people how to
These
do that.
those people about massive bank fraud. I'm just thinking of the film Below. I'm just like, yeah, that's what happens. That's that Diego guy. Diego. Johnny Depp's character all about cocaine. No, Johnny Depp taught Diego all about drug smuggling, and then he went Escobar style. Anyway, off topic. I think we should wrap it up. You and I are getting
Yes.
into random tangents.
Exactly. Thanks a lot for watching us, guys. We will be back with more about prediction markets.
Leave comments, engage, tell us
Exactly.
things.
Let us
Like if
know.
you want to hear us talk about something or go through a market or something like talk to us. If there's something about prediction markets you don't understand, ask us and we'll answer it
Yes,
as best we can.
exactly. And follow us at Groovy Market and go ahead and get your username at groovy.market. Okay,
Yeah,
that will be coming soon. Have a good one,
brilliant.
guys. Thanks, Nick.
See you. Bye.
Bye bye.